is the Rangers Journal now.
Hello and welcome to the Rangers Journal. This is your weekly Rangers news pod. Despite it being the close season, despite the Euros kind of taking all the attention, this week's actually been fairly busy. So I'm joined by Bob. We're going to talk about it today. Bob, how are you, mate?
Yeah, not too bad. Good morning, Billy. I think good morning to those watching and listening. After last week being a relatively quiet week, things have ramped up. So I've got a wee bit more to talk about this week, I think. So looking forward to discussing it with you.
Let me just give you into trouble there, mate, because you're telling people how the sausage is made. We're recording this on Friday morning, but it's going out on Friday night. So apologies to anyone who thought it was live, but unfortunately we can't always get us on the same schedule, whatever. But yeah, still a lot to talk about. I guess the first thing, Bob, would be yesterday's announcement by Rangers, the signing of Barron on a Bosman or a free, but we will be due a fee to Aberdeen for him. What's your reaction to that one?
Initial reactions are we finally have a CB in the building, just not the CB that I think we're all waiting for. So I think it's a good signing. It's again we've kind of touched on it before. I think he meets the quota. He's young. He's going to be 22 at the end of August. So he's a 4-year deal is a very good deal. Takes him to kind of 25, 26, which in all honesty we needed. It goes along the same path that we've been looking at with these kind of younger players coming in and bringing energy, especially in the middle of the park, considering who we've lost. So yeah, I think overall very good signing. I know that some sections of the support might not be too enamoured with the signing, but it's somebody that we needed. It's definitely somebody we needed. It might not be the big name that we're hoping for, and that may come in the transfer window, but it's definitely somebody that we needed to fill a spot in midfield.
I think positively, the reaction I've seen online and through our chats, or whatever, has been fairly positive that he's come in. Nobody, it seems to be like folk are saying that it's a no-brainer. We've been saying that for a few weeks now, that he's available. He's a good prospect for the future, and by all accounts we've beaten off interest from Italy and from England, so I think it's actually a bit of a coup that we've got him. We quite easily could have taken what some would call a better lifestyle in living in Italy. I know certainly I like the food and the ice cream, so it certainly would have been something that would be, if offered to me, obviously I'm choosing Rangers, but he's not a Rangers fan. He's grown up at Aberdeen, so that would have been I think the managers managed to really sell the club to him, and I guess he must have had promises of getting a run out next season.
Yeah, I would think so. I know there's been a lot of rumours about the wage that he's been offered and potentially taking now, been in the tens of thousands of pounds. But again, if he delivers on the park, people aren't going to be talking about that for very long. I think, as you said, the options that were apparently available to him, they may not have been as lucrative, shall we say, as what Rangers are offering. Again, chance to win silverware, be in Europe is a great attraction for a lot of players. And again, the teams that even going to Italy, being abroad, Bologna had a good season last season and are likely to be in Europe, but they might then struggle in the league. And yes, okay, Lewis Ferguson did the same, and people would maybe turn around and say, we've finally got somebody from Aberdeen in their prime, very much like Ryan Jack. But to me, I think he'll offer something different. I'm not too sure he'll be a direct Ryan Jack replacement. But yeah, I'd like to think that the discussions with the manager were positive enough based on what's been put out to from the media, from the press team, and he said he was quite keen to come here. So I think maybe the discussion with the manager hopefully got the deal over the line, because again the manager said he wanted him here as well, based on again what came out yesterday after the signing was announced. So yeah, I think all in all it's a good deal for him and the club.
The negativity I've read this morning, not necessarily just about him himself, but Alan Hutton was talking about players that have come in so far being too young, which is a criticism we heard other places, but I just felt it was a bit kind of rich coming from him, because we got him young and we sold him for a great profit. So he's an example of exactly what we're trying to recreate by signing these type of players. You're thinking the same lines as him? Do you think at the moment the players we have brought in are obviously a younger profile? How do you feel about
that? Excited in one sense, Billy. I think we do need the energy that obviously younger players give us. I think we've just, we've said it in the chat and obviously been touched on in other pods. The current group of players has keep coming back to it's an end of a cycle. A lot of these guys are coming up to 30 plus. We need an influx of the younger players to give us the energy with a balance of experience, and I think Connor Barron brings us that to a degree. Although he's only 21, 22, he's probably had his most consistent season for Aberdeen last year. I think when I looked at it, he's played around about 30 games, 1 goal, 3 assists, which again isn't great, but his job isn't to be that creative midfielder, so that's probably why he's not getting goals and assists. He's a kind of scream, as a defensive midfielder type. But he's also, in his time at Aberdeen, obviously went on loan to Kelty, went on loan to Brecon, I think, as well. So it's not as if he's not got experience of men's football. Mm-hmm. Although he's a young player, I think he will bring, and he's, again, we touched on it before, he's got experience of the league, which again I think is invaluable. He knows what it's going to be like playing against a Dundee on a Wednesday night or a St Mirren on a Sunday afternoon. He's used to the parks. He knows the formation. I say the formations, the tactics, the strategy of most of the other teams in the SPFL, which can only benefit us in the long run because he'll hopefully take less time to settle than those coming in from abroad.
No, I agree with you there, and I've also heard some comments saying that he's used to playing against these other teams, but he's not played for Rangers against these other teams. How I would kind of counteract that would be saying, but he was playing against us for Aberdeen, knowing that they upped the game for it. So I think he does have experience of that and what he's going to expect. It's definitely going to be a different atmosphere for him playing in front of Ibrox every week or every second week. Sorry. And I mean, he'll know. I think he'll know what's expected of him. And just regards his goal scoring, it's not a position I'm expecting, a lot of assists or goals from. I don't expect John Lundstrom to score that many goals, and hopefully that's the kind of position he's coming in to replace. So I think it's a good all in. You got any other topics you were wanting to bring up just now, Rob? I'm going to go back and forth on this, I think.
I think probably kind of brings us into what you were saying about playing at Ibrox every second week. I think, the other announcement that was given to us yesterday was the delay on the Copland Road end of Ibrox, and that we're having to now look into contingency plans of playing elsewhere for at least the month of August. Hopefully it's only, a month. But I'm not really sure how I want to take it. I'm one of those that have actually had to move their season ticket. So I was in the Broomloan for the last kind of 8-9 years, and because of the change to the ticketing strategy with regard to the Old Firm and stuff, I've moved, and I was moved to the Copland end. So I'm now even more disappointed that, having moved my seat, I'm now potentially not going to get into the stadium for another month to see the team. So I'm disappointed is the word. I know you will always expect delays in all forms of work in life, but just disappointed that they've brought that out on the same day as having a signing announcement. So what's your thoughts on the delay?
Well, I know where you stay, mate. So I know going through to the likes of Murrayfield isn't going to be particularly something you're going to look forward to doing. It's going to make it a lot harder to get to the games for somebody like yourself. My season ticket was in the Broomloan as well, just where I live now. I'm afraid I've had to give it up. So I go to matches just kind of as and when I pick up a ticket. For me, going to Edinburgh, it's actually probably a wee bit easier, but not much in it, to be fair. Who I do think, or who I do feel for is the fans coming from Northern Ireland. I was reading comments that if they had to go through to Edinburgh, instead of getting an 8 o'clock ferry in the morning, they'd have to get a 4 o'clock one. So getting up at
Wow.
2-3 in the morning to come through for a game, and then they wouldn't be able to get back to the ferry till midnight. And that's if there even is a midnight ferry. So it's when I first heard it yesterday, I'm like, oh well, that's a shame. But then when you actually see people's comments and how it's going to affect them, so they're going to have to make a decision, have a real awkward 24-hour kind of travel to watch a football match, or just not to go to it. And I believe that Hampden's not going to be an option either, just purely down to they're having some pitch work, I think it is, or some other work done.
Yeah, I think there's obviously due to the summer season, there's been a number of concerts that are held in Hampden over the summer. And I think I quickly caught it this morning that Queen's Park are looking to move back into Hampden to play their championship games, which wouldn't be available till maybe mid-September. But again, there's been a kind of conflicting report that Hampden have reached out to say that if Rangers were to need Hampden, then it may be available for them. So again, it's just the confusion and disruption to the start of the season, Billy. We both know, as does every Rangers fan, that the start of the season is crucial.
Yeah.
For us, especially this season, every season, but especially this season, to try and get your a foothold on, to bed players in, get a foothold into the league, get results on the board, and extra travel for not only the team and the club, but for the fans as well. As you said, that a lot of fans won't be able to turn up to a lot of these games, especially if they're held in Murrayfield through in Hampden. As you said, the folks coming through from Northern Ireland, that's a full day. I say wasted. You're essentially wasting a full day just to watch a 90-minute match of football, where they could probably just stay at home and get it on some sort of so I say subscription platform or Rangers TV or whatever. And so it's not. I'm glad that they've come out and told us and been somewhat transparent, but again, there's still a wee bit of, to me, underlying. I'm not sure we're getting told the full story. I know they mentioned, I think, in the press release that it was materials from Asia, but yeah, I'm just concerned that it won't be fixed by the end of August, which again, just it plays on the rest of the season for us. Again, we know how important the fans are in the stadium and how much the players are attracted to coming and playing at Ibrox. I think that's also a big thing that hopefully it doesn't impact on signings, but to be able to show any prospective signing, especially in August when we are due to play so many games in a short space of time, if you want to bring people, you can't then bring people to the stadium. Yes, it would be good if we were, say, at Murrayfield and you've got a higher capacity to bring more fans in, which then hopefully would mean a better atmosphere. But Ibrox is home, and not to have that for the first month or two of the season could have a damaging effect. I hope it doesn't. But I'm trying to be optimistic, Billy, that it gets resolved as quickly as it can, but it never works out that way for us, especially for us.
What does concern me is that this is a very convenient rod to beat us with for the other teams in the league. So us reaching out for any kind of answers or solutions to this problem will probably be thrown back in our faces. There's talk of, could we play our first 5 matches away? How are Celtic going to respond to that if we end up, a title race again and we have 5 home games at the end of the season? It's not going to happen. So it's for me. I mean, we like to blame the board or beat the board as well, but at the end of the day, I mean, delays happen in building works. I don't know what guarantees they got from the builders that it would be completed in time, but obviously something's went wrong. You mentioned building material from China. I hadn't heard that. Is that what the story is?
Yeah, I think there was something along those lines. I've actually just trying to bring it up. Basically, it's the article on the Rangers website is Rangers have been recently advised of a delay in material shipment from Asia, which is likely to have an impact on the programme for the completion of the Copeland Stand works. So they've come out and said that, but then they've also said that someone within the club has lost their job, essentially been lost their job as a result of the delay, which isn't great to hear. But ultimately, if someone has made a guarantee to the club that this work would be completed by the time the season starts, and it's not, there's obviously some sort of action has to be taken. And I think I don't know if I think I put the pictures in the group chat, Billy. I was fortunate to be there in Ibrox on Sunday as part of a stadium tour for Father's Day, and there was no work getting done. Obviously, everything had just stopped. I know that they're trying to put the cantilever, so I don't know if it's something to do with that type of material or if it's something else that they're waiting for. But yeah, disappointing. The fact that they've progressed work to that point and now they've had to completely stop, which, as you say, it's disappointing. Disappointing.
The other thing, I watched the interview after the Scotland game with Shaqiri when he was asking, or he was asked about would Scotland beat Hungary in the next game, and he said something like, if these fans are there acting like they are tonight, then Scotland will win, which just shows you from a totally unrelated perspective how important it is to have the crowd behind us, especially for these Champions League nights, because that is really the holy grail for us to qualify for the Champions League. How much easier or how much more of an advantage would it be to have a full road in Ibrox, which we're not going to have either if they decide to play elsewhere or they decide to play without the fans in the Copeland and reimburse them in some way. I don't know if that's something they're considering either, but it's not good. None of it's good.
Yeah, and it's strange that they've not even, to this point anyway, not given some form of guarantee to say, again, I know they were talking about contingencies, but surely, as you said, surely there's a way to have at least 3 stands open. And all right, the Copeland Road end are impacted by that. All the fans that are seated like myself in that part of the stadium, as you said, they might be reimbursed. Get my Jers points or a discount to your season ticket if for those games. But surely there's got to be a way that we can still have games played at Ibrox over the period of time. Because again, it looked as if, from my perspective on Sunday, they could take the machinery away that's there, and just close that part of the stadium off. But again, how much of an impact would that be on the crowd? Three sides of the stadium is great, but as you said, a full Ibrox rolling on for the Champions League qualifiers would be better in everyone's opinion.
I'm guessing the stand holds between 8 and 10,000, something like that.
Possibly, yeah. I'm not sure.
I don't know how many tickets normally go on sale to other people for the Champions League qualifiers. I can't imagine there's 8,000 other spare seats around the stadium especially with the European kind of quota for the away fans as well, isn't it? So, but look, we can't solve it. We had to talk about it though. It's unfortunate, but it's probably time to move on for that. So other things I've seen this week, mate. We did a pod, or I did an interview on the pod on Monday, and then with a discussion afterwards about signing the Moroccan Igaman, who apparently we're the only ones that pronounce his name correctly at this point in the other podcasts I've listened to. But reports from Chris Jack yesterday saying that it's highly likely that signing is going to go through. So what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, again, looking forward to it. It's a striker, which again I think we all needed. I think the fee is reported to be around 1.5 million. So same sort of strategy that we were talking about at the top. The kind of, I think it's 2021 coming in again. I know it's a foreign league. The way that it's been described is that he wouldn't. I'm not sure. I think it was Mark Votta, who was the previous SFA technical head. It said that the league that he plays in is quite similar to playing in the kind of lower half of the SPFL. So hopefully he'll settle in quickly. So to me, positive signing. Stays on the same transfer strategy of bringing kind of younger, more energetic players into the club. Hopefully we can temper that with some experience maybe later on in the window after the Euros is finished. I'm sure that they'll be working on that in parallel to these deals that we're getting told about at the moment. But yeah, I think I've not looked at anything. I've not checked any YouTube clips or compilation clips or anything. But again, it sounds positive. There's a lot of talk or comparisons with Morelos, and he's going to be the Moroccan Morelos for us. But obviously, I don't want to put that expectation on the boy so early on in his hopefully expected career. If he comes in and has a similar impact to Alfie, but maybe without the attitude and weight problems, hopefully he'll be a very positive signing for us. Hopefully, once it's announced.
Well, Yusuf that we had on the pod on Monday night was very glowing in his reporting of him, and it's easy to make these comparisons with Morelos. I mean, Morelos was at Helsinki before us, not exactly a league I knew a lot about, same as Morocco, but I don't think it's quite fair. I mean, it's similar price. What was Morelos, $1 million? So 1.5, similar price, similar type of player than we're hearing, and in the right mix. I don't think there's anything wrong with that signing. I'm quite happy with it, as I was saying on Monday. Let's go. What's the other topics we had on the list, mate?
I think it was more. I think it was more so the update on the dates for the pre-season. I noticed that Ajax had announced that their pre-season friendlies and our game with them in Amsterdam falls on the 13th of July. So I definitely had a couple of messages from a couple of folks saying being in Amsterdam for that weekend is going to be very interesting, considering it's obviously around a certain point in the year for certain folk. So yeah, I think again, to me, the pre-season friendlies, again, kind of what we're touching on with the stadium, the fact that we've not got any pre-season friendlies at Ibrox because of the work, it gives people a chance to come and experience our atmosphere, whereas the last time we were in Ajax, it wasn't the most positive experiences. So hopefully this time around, although it being a friendly, you still hope there's a competitive edge to it, and hopefully it gets us in kind of preparation for the Champions League games that we're hopefully going to get to play this season.
Are you looking forward to that more than the Man United friendly? What's your preference for the two?
Yeah, I think I'm not too sure how Man United are going to set up at the moment. I know that they've kind of come out and confirmed that Ten Hag will stay in charge. I'm not too sure if it'll be a youth team or if it'll be, I'm sure there'll be a sprinkling of first team stars, but again, so close to the end of the Euros, I doubt we'll see the big name players. So it's not as enticing as I would have hoped it would have been. I noticed it'll be a tough challenge, but I'm not. If I was wanting to go to one of the games, I probably would have preferred Ajax. I've been to Ajax, the Amsterdam Arena before, not for any game, unfortunately, but the size of the place and the atmosphere and just the surroundings are a bit more attractive to me, in my own opinion, than going to Murrayfield to watch Man United. And again, you just don't know who they'll pick to play. I
mean, just a quick trip up to Glasgow Airport. Hopefully, get a cheap flight over, whatever. Then you could be there. I think likely the only one I'll get to is the Man United one, just for having family and stuff. We don't claim to be an in the know podcast, but we had heard murmurings this week of the Tavernier and Goldson thing has been going on even before the season ended. The links to Saudi Arabia, but we heard that it's very concrete that this offer for Tavernier at least is real, and he's likely to be off to Saudi Arabia. That falls into the bracket of huge if true for me. And where do you see? First of all, are you happy about it? Would you like him to have stayed on another season?
I think for me it's somewhat bittersweet. I think if it's a decent offer in terms of how much money they're offering, again, I don't think there's been any fees reported, Billy, but not as of today anyway. But again, if it's a relatively decent fee, he's 32, 33. I think we'll noticed, especially in this last season, He's certainly not as dynamic as he once was. I think it's probably a good time for him to go, to get, to allow us to bring some money in for him. Although I would be disappointed to see him go, simply because of the contribution he's given to us. Again, maybe more so looking at the run to the Europa League final in Seville, being the top goal scorer. He's contributed so much. Again, I know he takes the penalties and that's part of it, but it has helped us through to become champions at one point. And he always seems, as maybe he's not the most vocal of captains, and I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions on him, but to me, I think it's slightly bittersweet. I'd happy to see him go in a way, just to try and bring more energy into the team, but sad to lose the experience of him, both as a player and as a captain.
I get what you mean, mate. Excuse me. Sorry, Emma. I love him in the team, but there's no denying his decline. I wouldn't even just say it's just this season. I would say maybe for the last 2 seasons, he's noticeably kind of declined in his ability to get up and down the park. That's not to say he doesn't contribute hugely to the team. My problem with him, I guess, is everything has to kind of go through him, and we're too reliant. There's too many other players reliant on, will Tav do something, or we'll get a penalty and Tav will score it. And I would like to weed that out the team. I would like the whole team to be doing their own thing, contributing in the way that the manager wants them to. And obviously you're going to have creative players and players that more things go through, but it just seems to me that everything of play for the last 10 years has been, well, most of the last 10 years has been dictated by having James Tavernier in the team. And I think, I don't think the manager wanted that, Clement, I'm talking about, I don't think he wanted that, but there's a reason he didn't drop him. It's because no one else would step up. So I think it's definitely the right time for me. If he stayed on another season, does that mean he gets a testimonial? Is that right?
I think so. I think he's sitting at, I think, 8 years, 9 years now. So, again, it's becoming a very much rarer occurrence to see testimonials in football just now. Billy, we all know that the state of the current game is that players will never stay at a club for probably any longer than maybe 3-4 years tops, depending on what the length of the contract is. But it'd be sad to see him go before the testimonial. I do think it would be good in a way if he stayed, just to get that kind of reward for his loyalty to the club. But when it comes down to it, I agree with you. I think if it's a relatively good fee, that we're able to reinvest in the squad. If it's Saudi that he goes to, he'll get a payday probably unlike any other that he's had in his career, which probably sets him up and potentially sets his children up for life. Kind of sees his career out in a warm country that the football at this point in time maybe isn't as competitive as ours, or in Europe, should I say. I know that they've obviously made efforts with other players going there, but to me, it'd be good to see, again, fresh players coming in. Again, we just need that evolution of the team, Billy. Just kind of what we're touching on this at the start. We need that mix, and I think as much as we miss his experience, we do need to start looking past Tav as the go-to man. And as you said, it's not before time. We really need to start distributing goals and assists and responsibility throughout the whole team, rather than when we're up against it or behind it. Up against the gosh, in games in Europe, in games with Celtic, that more often than not, as much as you can be annoyed with his performance at times, we do tend to look that way, to go, well, Tav will maybe get a goal from a free kick or might get a penalty, and we shouldn't. We're too long in that mindset. We need to start moving past that.
I don't think the manager is particularly sentimental, and I think keeping him on just for the sake of testimonials would be to the detriment of the team. If we've got a serious bid for him, I never even really considered the transfer fee as part of it. I just think it is time for us to move on and evolve into a different style of football team. As much as it would be nice for him, as you say, to get that. He is in the Hall of Fame. He did lift the league trophy. He's he'll be remembered fondly by pretty much most people. There's obviously he's got his detractors, which I think is probably, in my opinion, a bit much. Certainly at times he's made the mistake or two, but I think on the whole he's not let us down. We've missed out on cups and leagues, but it's not purely down to him. The team round about him needs to take responsibility too. I think he gets too much laid at his door. The not so strong links or definite links, but there's also murmurings of Goldson being offered a contract over in Saudi as well. I'll just put my 2 cents in at the beginning. I think it's also time for him to move on, and that would be the total clear out of the kind of not management structure. You know what I mean? The structure, the power structure in the team. That would be them all cleared out, and I think that's what we need going forward. Obviously, Jack Butland was there last season, but him, maybe one or two others need to come in and be the new, the new senior players in the dressing room.
No, I would agree with that one, Billy. I think for myself, again, Connor Goldson has been a good player for us. I wouldn't say he's been great. He's had some good games for us, don't get me wrong, but he came in, he was a linchpin of Gerrard's team. He was one of the first players that Gerrard signed to be that technical defender that is able to bring the ball out from the back and play, spray passes here, there and everywhere. But defensively, we've always had questions over him in the bigger games. I think my mind immediately goes back to the 55 season with the 2 goals he scored against Celtic at Celtic Park, and that to me is one of the very few, if the only massive highlight the only highlight that I can think of to date. Again, the people talk about Seville and
that's what comes to my mind.
Yep. Yeah, that's the opposite side of the flip side of the coin, Billy. That he doesn't really offer a lot attacking wise, in the sense that he gets a few goals, but he's not consistent in getting goals for us, even from set pieces and corners. Technically, yes, he's a very good player, but I think I would agree. I think it's time for him to go. I think that we need more experience in the back line, probably just to complement the youth that we're looking at. I know that there had been some murmurings of looking at McKenna, because I know he's out of contract. I know you kind of mentioned it to me in the agenda, the fact he's, again, Scottish, meets the quota if he was to come in. But again, I know a lot of fans probably wouldn't like to see him come. I'm not one of those. I am one of those fans. I don't think he would. I'm not enamoured with him, to be honest with you, Billy. I don't think he would suit us in a way. I don't think he's mobile enough. But yeah, I think for Goldson anyway, I think if there was an offer on the table, I would hope that it would be considered. And again, I think time to go, time to just not completely rip it up, but it would help us again, same as Tav, move past that point.
Yeah, no, I'm in agreement with you. McKenna, I put that in our chat, but purely just because it's been kind of doing the rounds. For me, he's not good enough to be a Rangers. Certainly not. He's not an improvement on Goldson, and we're needing an improvement on him for the likes of the Champions League and in Europe. So for me, no, I wouldn't really be thinking. And nothing against the player. I mean, he's a decent player, but I just don't think he would suit us. The other one that kind of came up that's been talked about this week is Kenny McLean. That, I'm not, going to drive down and pick him up myself, but that I'm not completely. I don't completely hate that. He's an experienced player. He is apparently, as all accounts, is a Rangers fan. That doesn't mean we should sign him just for that reason, but he's player of the season at his club this year. Probably would walk up here himself, and it would be a good experience for the likes of these younger players. He might not have the legs to play every single game, but having someone in the dressing room like him, replacing somebody like Scott Arfield, that's what comes to mind. So I wouldn't be against McLean coming in. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, same. I think it would be a good move if we can get him in. I think he's still, again, probably opposite way in terms of Tav being 32 and wanting to move him on. I think bringing Kenny McLean in at 32 gives us that wee bit of experience. He's played in the league before. He's played relatively well and consistently for Norwich in the Championship and in the Premier League. He would give us a wee bit of bite in the midfield, similar, as you said, to Scott Arfield. Again, if he could have the same or similar type of impact to Scotty, that it would definitely be a positive move. It just depends on whether or not there's something concrete behind the rumours.
Other players at the Euros, there's no. My problem with watching players at the Euros is I have no idea how much these players are worth and how much they'd go for. So I could go, oh, why don't you look at him? Yeah, he's 18 million he went for last season, because I just don't follow enough of the European game. But if anybody stuck out for you?
Not particularly, no. I think it's such a difficult time of year, Billy. I think that's probably why we're not seeing maybe a flow of players coming in or players going out. I think a lot of players' valuations will go up or down depending on how well they perform in the Euros. I think the games have been good to a point over the last week, but I'm sad to say that there's not really been any one game that I would pick out, or he should be one that we need to look at. Because again, no doubt the person that you're pointing out is going to end up having a massive fee against them. So maybe just keep it until after the Euros and see where we're lying. Because again, we're still got another couple of months of the transfer window to go, and I'm not too sure if the transfer war room or whatever it was called that was still going on in Mexico or South America. I don't know how long that's going on for, if it's finished or not. But again, to me, it's probably better to wait until after that, and then hopefully it dies down to the point where they might become a more manageable fee to pay for folks. So nothing kind of, or no one stands out for me at the moment.
Well, I mean, the goal that Denmark scored against England last night, I thought was a peach and a screamer. I love the ones in off the post. I can't even pronounce his name. Humjuland, Jumland. So that's but I think it's a sporting player. Sporting Lisbon player, I'm sure he is. So no doubt he would cost a pretty penny. But again, no idea about any other parts of his game. I just thought that was a good goal, and we don't score enough goals from outside the box, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think when I seen it last night, I thought that's a great goal. Again, I think they were reporting there's been more goals from outside the box in this kind of first round of games than there has been for a while. So again, all those types of players we're probably all looking at, because from a Rangers perspective, we don't do enough of that. Mm-hmm. And hopefully that changes in the coming season. But most of these players, if they're the kind of 8 or 10, they're likely to cost more than we can afford at the moment.
Well, I've just looked up transfer market. So yeah, Sporting Lisbon bought him for 19.5 million, and they currently have him valued at 40 million. So probably not a market.
I was going to say just the 40 million. He's valued at.
I know these transfer market things are just kind of speculative a lot at times, and it's not always the right. I know I've seen some of the fees for our players and went, we're not getting that for him. I think Hadji was like 10 million at one point. I'm like, I think I struggle for that. Kai had put an article out today on the Rangers Journal Twitter feed discussing the likes of Connor Barron, but also Liam Kelly. Now we're quite likely to lose McCrory. Where he goes, I think probably down south. In all fairness, I don't know if going to Aberdeen or even Motherwell is a good move for him. I'd like him to. I hope he chooses to go down south. I think there'll be options for him. But Liam Kelly for me is weird. I guess maybe it makes sense. He knows he's not coming in to be number one, or maybe does he think he has a chance of being number one? Don't think he had a great season. I know he's the captain at Motherwell. Don't think he had a great season. He's really just coming in for backup. I'll encourage everyone to go and read what Kai said about it. My opinion is he's just coming in to be backup, and he's not likely to play more than a probably single digit. Even that if he plays cup games. He obviously was with us before, but I'll let you. On you go, mate. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I agree, Bill. I think looking at it, it meets the quota. He's a homegrown player. He's got experience. Yes, they never had a great season last year with Motherwell, but when he, the last couple of years with Motherwell and previously when he was at Livingston, he was always a thorn in our sides. I don't ever think, especially at games at Ibrox when he's came, either with Livingston or Motherwell, he's always performed relatively well.
Yep.
For them. Again, maybe that's just because he feels he's got a point to prove in front of the Ibrox fans. But yeah, unless something major happens with Jack Butland, he will be the club's number 2. Mm-hmm. Again, may get cup games here, there, and everywhere. Injuries and suspensions aside. But yeah, I think it's a good signing in terms of squad depth. I just don't think he'll play a lot of games for us, especially in the next 1 or 2 seasons at least.
Yeah. No, I think if we had to lose Jack Butland, would need to be reinvesting an awful lot of that money into a definite a clear number 1, head and shoulders above someone like Liam Kelly, who obviously if he comes in and whenever he plays, I'll be cheering them on. But he's not for me a number 1, and I think for McCrory's sake, he needs to go out and be a number 1 somewhere else. It'd be great if we could get some buyback clause if he goes away for a couple of seasons and plays really well and we get first option coming back. And for him, that would be best case scenario for me. But I think he probably needs to go. Other signings, nothing really concrete at the moment. There's names banded around.
Nothing's really popped up. I know that the links with the boy from Penarrow, Damien Garcia, that kind of went quiet. I don't know if he signed a new deal or not. Again, I think Billy, as we said there, I think we'll probably see things ramp up once the team return to pre-season training, which I think is Monday. I think they go out to the Netherlands for their pre-season camp on the 7th of July. So to me, it probably won't be until the middle of April, middle of July, end of July before we maybe see a bit more movement. There might be a couple here and there. Again, Eagleman, sorry. Hopefully comes in next week at some point at the start of pre-season. Again, I think Clement's thought were to try and bring as many people in, so that would be 5 for the start of pre-season training, which is a good number. I think we had mentioned before, if we're looking to try and bring in between maybe 8 to 12 players, we're well on our way with 5 if all reports are to be believed. So yeah, I think we're on a good footing so far to go in with that freshness that we've talked about. I think we're still looking at the experience, but yeah, no one really else comes to mind at the moment. I think again that there might be some surprising moves, especially out the door. I know we've had the 5 that were released, but I'm sure there'll be other ones that are either working their ticket out or have been told that they're no longer required going forward, especially if there's ones coming in that are going to take their positions or make it more competitive for those positions. I know maybe just touching on the last week or so that there had been some stories around offers willing to be heard for Cantwell and Lawrence. I think that would be an interesting one to see how that goes on over the next few weeks. I'm not sure what your thoughts are. To me, I would prefer maybe to keep Cantwell. I think there's maybe more value retaining him than there would be Lawrence. But yeah, I'm not sure how things are going to go over the next couple of weeks or next few weeks.
I mean, it's having Euros. I mean, there's a competition every 2 years, so it's going to be 50-50 whether when you need a rebuild, there's going to be a big international tournament on. But that's certainly probably scuppered the opportunity to get more than the 4 or 5 in that we likely will have for the beginning of pre-season. I'm disappointed in that because I really like the way Clement was talking at the end of the season that he wants them all to go through this vigorous fitness training, for pre-season. The likes of I'm actually more disappointed we've not managed to ship off a couple of these players that you mentioned there. I've no wish to run Cantwell out the club, but I just don't think the manager wants them there. Just from the way they kind of the messages on Instagram and the kind of thing that Clement will say, like I need them to be good, whatever minute, not the 30th minute, whatever he said before. But it's not like he's backing them greatly, I would say. So I wouldn't be surprised if he was moved on. I would like it to kind of get it can we get these players moved on? I know the competition is going to, and we're waiting for bigger clubs to make the signings at the higher level, so that money trickles down to our level. So
Sure.
I don't mind Cantwell if he's there next season. I just don't think he will be. And if we get some money back for him, that's great. We're likely to lose Lammers. Hopefully like to move on Scott Wright. Hopefully like to move on I say Tav and Goldson at the back.
Yeah.
Tom Lawrence as well would be one. Yanis Hadji would be one. Probably the sounds are he's going to move on. That's that's a good, as well as the players that left. We're going to need that 12 in. It's great. We've got 4 or 5 so far. Be good to get some of the and again, these are the easier ones to get done. Folk are like Alan Hutton moaning about these players are too young. Well, it's because the ones that we're going to be spending some cash on, it's not the right time of the transfer window for them, is it?
Yeah, exactly. I think the kind of more experienced heads will probably come later on in the window. I think they're either at the tournament or there's deals hopefully kind of ongoing in the background. But yeah, I think that's probably why at this moment in time we've only seen the kind of younger ones that aren't at a tournament are quite easier to capture, easier to get hold of than ones that we're maybe a bit more familiar with or familiar to the leagues anyway.
Well, mate, unless you've got anything else you want to bring up, I'll just bring things to a close there. I'll let you give your final thoughts.
Yeah, just one final shout out. I think so yesterday I did an interview with Stuart Hay, who's the writer, producer and star of The Journey Back, that's been on in the Armadillo, and he's taking it on tour. So it was a good chat with him yesterday. That'll be up on the YouTube channel hopefully in the next few days, if not next couple of weeks. But just to give a shout out to him, to thank him for his time to come on and give us an interview. And also there's an announcement made last night that they are bringing the tour to an end. The last 2 shows are going to be in the Hydro, I think at the start of next year in January, and all proceeds, I believe, are going to the Rangers Charity Foundation. So every other place they've taken it's been a sellout. So I would encourage folk to get their tickets for that if they've not already went to see it. And again, just thanks Stuart for his time yesterday. It was a great wee chat. So hopefully it'll be up soon for folk to have a look at.
That's great, mate. I look forward to watching it. And again, anybody, if there's any type of interview you'd like us to do or reach out to someone, please put in the comments or get in touch with us at the Rangers Journal on Twitter and let us know your thoughts on who you'd like us to speak to. It's not always easy to get content during the transfer window times when there's no games on. So we're thinking about things and reaching out to people ourselves. But if you get any ideas, please let us know. Thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for your comments. Please like and subscribe if you haven't done already. Let your friends know about us. And as Bob unfortunately let you know at the beginning of the podcast, this is Friday morning that we're recording, but you're seeing this on Friday night. So let me just finish by saying every night is a Rangers Journal night. Goodbye.